Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling was the worst fight of this year. Let's get into it. If only somebody had made a video saying that this fight should have been cancelled after we saw Brian Ortega's corpse weigh in. This fight had so much steam and overall hype behind it. I was excited for this fight for weeks leading up to it, and in my opinion this fight was the main event on this card for me. Come on, why do we have a Johnny Walker main event in 2025? Bro hasn't won a fight in 2 years. Ortega versus Sterling was supposed to be this extremely fun stylistic matchup. Both are incredibly skilled on the ground, but then also pretty decent at striking. And usually when you get one of these fights where it's two very heavy grapplers, we just get an all-out brawl on the feet. Even with someone as low output as Aljamain Sterling, we still should have had a decent fight on the feet. And to be honest, if this fight did go to the ground, I was really excited to see the scrambles. Like we saw it when Aljamain Sterling fought Movsar Evloev. That was such an entertaining fight, especially for like the people that actually enjoy wrestling. But to be honest, this fight was just a complete lack of action. It was extremely low output. The fact that Brian Ortega only threw like 100 strikes in total and only 50 significant strikes, and keep in mind this was a 5-round fight. I made a video yesterday talking about why this fight should have been cancelled because like I said, we saw Brian Ortega rock up to the weigh-ins, an absolute shell of himself. It's very evident at this point that he should just move up to lightweight because these featherweight cuts just aren't working anymore, and in my opinion the cause is just a lack of discipline. There was also reports that he was in hospital due to the weight cut, and this would have been like 2 days before the actual fight. Even though they moved this to a catchweight bout at 155, the damage was done by that point. Brian Ortega was a lamb going to slaughter, but then the person slaughtering him was Aljamain Sterling, so I guess it wasn't too dangerous or too risky. But whoever is on Brian Ortega's team and convinced him to still make it to the octagon, they need to be fired, man, because even if he won this fight, this would have done absolutely zero for his legacy. He missed weight, so either way he would probably be moving up to lightweight for his next fight, if not being cut from the UFC. So a win would have done absolutely nothing for him, and a loss just puts him even further in a hole. He's now riding a 2-fight losing streak. On top of that, he's also missed weight twice in a row. Now, aside from all that, let's just say how incredibly boring this fight was. And if you're an Aljamain Sterling fan, which couldn't be me, you should be extremely disappointed because the fact that this guy wasn't able to finish someone that was a literal corpse walk into the octagon is beyond me. Not only was he not able to finish him, he was also running away from him the entire fight. Aljamain Sterling just did not look good on the feet, and obviously neither did Brian Ortega. It took him like 3 rounds to throw a single punch. Bro was just feigning at range the entire fight. Actually, not even at range, he was feigning out of range. Like majority of the punches he threw were just so out of range and far away from his head. And throughout the fight, I was just hoping that this fight would go to the ground, so then maybe we could see some exciting scrambles. But as soon as it got to the ground, Brian Ortega just laid on his back and clearly did not have any energy to throw up any sort of submissions. And then Aljamain Sterling was just happy to lay on him and smudge him. I know there have been boring fights this year, like many boring fights, but the fact that this fight was not only extremely boring, the fact it went through at all after, like I said, we saw Brian Ortega at the weigh-ins just makes this such a bad fight. I don't know why Dana White hates Aljamain Sterling so much, because if I was the UFC, right, the UFC as a brand, you would want to build your fighters, especially someone like Aljamain Sterling who's a former champ and has a bit of a fan base, but they still made this fight go through, and obviously win or lose, this fight was not going to end well for him. Now that he's won, a lot of the fan base are just looking at it like he beat a shell of a human being, which is true. While it does still count as a win, does it really move him closer to a title shot? The fact that he even called out Volkanovski after this win, and I could tell it was Merab's idea, bro, you're not getting a title shot. He has to win at least, and I say at least, one more fight, especially when you look how stacked the top 5 of this division is. There's so many people that you could actually give title shots to right now. Aljamain Sterling is not getting one off beating a guy that did not even make weight and a guy that barely threw any strikes at all. So yeah, this obviously just does not look good on Aljamain Sterling, which to be honest, I feel kind of bad for him because he's had a bit of a crappy run throughout the UFC. Even when he was champion, the fans just were never on his side because of how he won the belt. So I really just think this fight should have been cancelled to begin with. I was really excited for it, you know, the weeks leading up to it, but it should have just been cancelled as soon as Ortega looked like how he did at the weigh-ins. Overall, it was a very disappointing fight and does absolutely nothing for either of their careers except for just backlash. Sterling's going to receive backlash from the fans for having a boring fight, and Ortega's receiving backlash for missing weight twice. So in my opinion, Aljamain Sterling should have to fight one more person before he gets a title shot, and Ortega should just move up to lightweight, man, or just stop fighting altogether if he's not into the game anymore. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this matchup and why it was the worst fight of the year. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys do drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.